There is a reason why my therapist gets combat pay.
And with that, folks, welcome to the security table. What a statement that really requires a lot of unpacking. But it is explain the last 5 minutes of conversation. Oh, how do you recover from the first statement of a podcast? Normally, you have
this is the clean intro. You got the soundtrack going.
This was the cold open we just did. That was a cold open. So, problem is, it just didn't come out very cold. It was like you were right in the middle of the fire. It was a flash open.
Story.
No, it's all good. It's all good. All right, so we're going to talk about this MCP thing, which, to be honest, I haven't really spent a lot of time digging into or thinking about, which is
wait a minute,
I'm
Chris.
curious for you to teach me.
We're a bit far ahead. Welcome, folks. Welcome to another edition of the Security Table. I'm Matt Coles with my co-hosts, Chris Romeo and Izar.
And now apparently I've been replaced by an AI bot named Matt.
Hey, remember that I wanted to do the thing with the voices?
I think it just happened.
Show the picture of the kids. Us in 20 are later when people. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, that was
I can't talk.
That was a good picture, though. It's a bit of an internet trend at the moment, so maybe we'll put it up on LinkedIn or something. But okay, so now trying to gather this thing back together. MCP. So we were looking at an article that we were not going to mention because it's just kind of a summary of a bunch of academic papers, but we can at least dive into this topic. So like I said, I haven't done a lot of diving into MCP yet. Matt, sounds like you may have done a little more than I. Would you care to define MCP?
Just a little bit. And I will not claim to be an expert here, but MCP, Model Context Protocol, it's one of three protocols that are
three and
used.
this one.
Oh, come on. Seriously? All right.
A2A,
so
MCP and
ACP. So
there's
there
ACP.
are
No,
there are
ACP is
three,
agentic. Okay.
they're all three agentic, right? So MCP is model context. Oh, come on. Really? So MCP is for AI agents or AI systems to access tools and other things. That's its job. That's its purported job, right? It's a data access layer, kind of like a SQL ORM, right, where you tell it intent and you get stuff. And that's the basis for our conversation to start with. And then you have A2A, which is agent to agent communication, and you have ACP, which is also I guess a competitor to A2A, right? So it's a agent communication protocol. And so that's for agents to talk to each other to, steps in a process. Whereas MCP, I guess MCP is the odd protocol out, which is really accessing, agents would be clients, accessing servers. They could be reverse roles, but accessing servers who implement things like a database or a knowledge graph or PyTM or right, a host of other things for gathering data.
So can I, if I was to generalize like this, would this still be true? MCP is like an API for LLMs.
It's
the slogan for MCP is that it's the USB-C for AI application.
Yeah, I wonder who came up with that.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. The USB-C for I can plug something into it.
Yeah,
you can plug anything to anything, and stuff happens.
They couldn't have come up with a better example. I mean, this is like they couldn't have come up with a hit or something. But USB-C, does anyone remember early USB when you had to plug stuff in and it would go off and try to find drivers and wouldn't work?
Forget that. I'm still trying to figure out the magic of like putting it once, turning it around, putting it twice, and then turning it to the first one, and this time it goes in. I'm still trying to figure
Well,
that
because you get
one
power
out.
in one, you get power in one case, you get data in the other. Yeah.
Okay, but is
but
it
yeah.
like an API?
It's a universal access
Yes,
layer,
no.
quote unquote.
So it is an API.
It is a set of APIs. It's a protocol. So you call it. It has a communication mechanism built in, so the client can talk to the server. They may be remote. They could be local, right? So it's basically, I'm going to say it's glorified glorified IPC or or network sockets, right? With a little bit of context stuff on top.
For those born after the year 2000, IPC is inter-process communication, and it's I think I can say it's a legacy. It's a legacy.
Turn the legacy even
Unix.
back. It's XG and XPC. Remember when XPC was a thing? Like extended process communication, when you could like
but it was primarily for
include file and create a protocol of it.
I mean, IPC is socket, right? It's a socket implementation, whether you're on Windows or
primarily
Linux.
localized, though.
It is, but I mean, and so the client and server don't have to be remote in the MCP, but they can be, right? So it sort of has an IPC layer or RIPC capability versus also having a network layer, right? So it tells how to find servers, or has a mean of finding servers, and based on information that's provided, and then to communicate a request and get a response. RPC might be another way of looking at it. If I remember correctly, it is based on JSON RPC specifically. So you send a JSON message, do a remote procedure call for those who don't know what RPC is, and then get back data.
Okay. So that's MCP.
That's MCP.
That seems like a pretty good summary.
If you think about all of the things that can go wrong with all of the technologies we talked about, now you understand MCP.
It's like you're running around with duct tape, but the duct tape happens to be elastic, flammable, and the glue is not really that good.
I know. By the way, you're on a unmanned, unpiloted drone at 16,000 feet, doing something important.
Yeah.
That's what your duct tape is holding.
So why do you say that for real, though? Like, are you saying MCP is somehow inferior or broken in some way?
It's not inferior, but broken. It does what it's supposed to do. And it's the first, if I remember correctly, the first interaction of this duct tape thing. I think that shortly after it became popular in the last few months. It's been around for more than a year. It comes from Anthropic.
Yep.
And a couple of months ago, it started becoming a thing. And then Google came out with A2A.
Yeah, but A2A is a different product. Like, it's not meant for the same thing that MCP is meant for.
Are you sure?
I'm not sure.
Because I heard that it goes.
You sounded really sure, to be honest with you.
I was pretty certain it wasn't the same. Like, they talk about A2A and ACP together, but not MCP.
Yeah.
Like, A2A is... Yeah, A2A is for, like, agent to agent, not agent to tool.
But at the end of the day... Well, of course, if you ask ChatGPT, it's completely useless, right? A2A and MCP.
Well, okay.
ChatGPT is completely
if you look at Google's blog, so A2A comes out of Google, and by the way, ACP comes out of OpenSSF. So A2A is a Google contribution to the community. Whereas
it's almost 9 a.m. and OWASP doesn't have its own protocol. I mean,
they better get on it. So A2A, if you look at A2A and the stuff that Google announced, right? A2A is a protocol that complements Anthropic's model content protocol. So it is meant to be working hand in hand, but they are for different purposes.
Yeah. Thank you for correcting.
And then ACP, again, OpenSSF, is comparable to A2A. The difference between A2A and ACP is A2A uses JSON RPC. Are you seeing a trend? Versus the ACP uses RESTful calls. So it's not using JSON RPC, it's using standard HTTP REST type
Right.
APIs.
Clearly, because I haven't read enough about A2A. Comment just for MCP. You wake up in the morning and you decide that you're going to build a spaceship.
Happens often.
You see
when I
where
wake
this is
up, I'm
going.
like,
Yep. You're young.
But then
You're
you
young.
decide to,
Want to be Elon Musk? You're going to be like competing to SpaceX.
no, it's even worse. You
Building
are a
a
grizzly
spaceship in your
bear and you
garage.
have experience and you are really good at what you're doing. But then you decide to actively ignore all the body of knowledge that came before, from the brother's right to the challenger, and I'm going to wing it. And
What are we working on? What can go wrong?
MCP apparently was like, okay, it's a good idea to connect this all the things, but you know what? Somebody else is going to worry about the security of this thing. That's not me. That's somebody else. It's going to be fine. How bad could it be?
You know
Turns
how
out that
this
it could
layered
be a bit
approach
bad.
thing. You know how this layered thing or approach thing works, right? You do one thing really well, and you let others do the other things really well.
wait, but
I get that, but
you're not putting security as one of those other layers, are you?
no, the thing is, I can see the attraction of of the model, but when you come out to something that's called model, content, protocol, like three words that by themselves are big things, put them together and you have like big thing to the cubed. Doesn't it? I've always wanted to use this word live. Behoove you to actually
Big
think
word for the
about
day.
security.
It's not even 9 o'clock in the morning, and Isar has already pulled out the big word.
I have already been for the day.
For those who don't know what behoove means, it may be in your best interest.
What, it may be in my
This is
best interest. It may be in my best interest to learn what behoove means.
So now that everybody feels behooven or behooved, then I don't know. It's a
Behoven.
bit too
It's
far
not even
for
9
me.
o'clock in the morning, and Isar makes up a word.
You're
If
so behoovenistic today.
if Cloud can make up words, I can make words too. Anyways.
So Isar is hallucinating.
Again.
Okay, that's
What else is new?
But my point is that it's not that MCP as it is, the at least what I saw of it, it's not that it has security problems. It doesn't have security. Security is somebody else's problem. It happens somewhere else. Right? It just assumes that things can talk to things and that it's fine and that whatever goes in is good, whatever comes out is good, and everything is okay. And you guys know that I have this problem with prompt injection. Rubs me the wrong way. I don't think it is a security problem. But then once you bring MCP into the picture, it starts being a problem because it becomes a vector for excessive agency, for calling things out of order, for assuming privilege, assuming access. And that's when I think that my overall opinion of prompt injection as a security problem may start changing. But not because prompt injection, because of the things that it now can lead to. Because these damn LLMs are connected to other stuff that actually can do damage.
Mm-hmm.
And the protocol itself doesn't care. It's like, yeah, I'm taking this message here, I'm passing this message there, I'm waiting a bit, I'm getting this message here, I'm passing that message there, and yay.
Well, so it is a perfect description that MCP is the USB-C of agent to tool communication, right? The agent doesn't care how it gets the data that it needs. It knows the context it's looking for. The server doesn't care what the agent's going to do with that data. And the communication has some nominal amount of security because in theory it's a TLS based call. Just
But
everyone uses
doesn't
TLS.
USB-C has some minimal security in place? Like, I know that I can plug USB in all kinds of stuff, but I never had anything go up in smoke before from USB.
So there was an article. So let's talk about this a bit. So there was an article, I think it posted this weekend, that TSA has warned people not to use in-airport USB-C chargers or USB chargers. They didn't say USB-C specifically, right? USB-A and USB-C, different form factor, same problem.
Here, what's an in-airport charger?
You know how they have like when you sit down at the gates, they have these little stations that have cables sticking off of them that you can plug your phone into to charge?
No, because I'm a normal person. I don't stick cables that I don't know where they come from into my phone.
No, you're not the normal person, which is why they did this announcement out to people that hackers can use these cables, right, and to inject stuff in the line. The phone
That's why
doesn't
we
care
can't
where the
have
power
license.
comes from. The power source doesn't care who uses the power. It's what happens in the middle that's the problem.
Wait, is this like a real thing?
It is a real thing. I will look it up.
But like, because I mean, we've been talking about don't plug into USB things for hundreds of years at this point. And after a while, I thought it was just kind of bunk but maybe it's making a comeback.
No, it's actually true. There is a cable, a USB cable that has a bunch of stuff in it.
I want to make sure I use the right jet here.
But
The OMG cable.
All right, so we're going to do a bit of...
Okay, listen to this one. The OMG cable is a handmade USB cable with an advanced implant hidden inside. It is designed to allow you to your red team to emulate attack scenarios of sophisticated adversaries.
Yep. Now that's the pen testers version. So the TSA article, I just put it in our studio chat, is hackers can install malware on USB ports. So the chargers
they have controllers.
Right. And so then when the unsuspecting victim goes to charge their phone...
I'm calling bunk. Bunk. Look at the next line. The TSA also warned against using the airport's public Wi-Fi, especially when purchasing items or entering. So this is just rehashed stuff from 25 years ago. Right? We live in a TLS encrypted world. This whole thing with don't use public Wi-Fi is ridiculous that people are still making this recommendation. In a TLS encrypted world, everything on my devices is TLS encrypted. If I'm on a bad Wi-Fi, what could go wrong?
For people who don't actually pay attention to the TLS handshake or to the icons in your browser or stuff.
But you get like
Pineapple is still a thing. You just sit on the airport and you meet at that point, people will connect to you, and then you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but you gotta somehow have a way to get around TLS because everything coming off a laptop or phone is TLS encrypted.
Not everything is pinned. So sometimes people will see the pop-up, the certificate, blah, 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 and you got it, blah, blah. Okay, match on the okay.
Yeah, but you have to keep mashing okay, at least on Mac. It doesn't stop. Like on
real computers, it's... and on mobile.
On real computers, you only have to acknowledge it once, and then... Windows and Linux, you acknowledge it once, and then you're hosed.
Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar with this attack technique, the Pineapple, Wi-Fi Pineapple or Pineapple that hackers use is a device that can transmit and receive wireless signals at the very least, and among other things. And if it has enough power, it can look like a legitimate device over some of the other devices that might be in the airport. In fact, it might be the one that comes up first because it has the strongest signal that's being broadcast. And then the hacker that allows the hacker to become a man in the middle or an intervening proxy from you to it and it to your intended destination. And as Chris was saying, in theory, that connection is protected by TLS, and that may be true. As Izar is saying, that's because the hacker who has the pineapple in the middle can proxy that connection. Basically, they present a certificate that you trust because you go, oh yeah, I want to connect to the service. I trust it. And now they have an intervening proxy with TLS at both ends, and they're in the middle.
So I'm still crying bunk to this. Like, if I'm an attacker, I'm going to go set up a Wi-Fi pineapple in the middle of the airport. What are the chances I'm going to get something useful? right? Like if I'm somebody who's a malicious
You don't know.
cyber criminal, there's
You
so
might.
much easier places to attack people than
Isn't this
by
a
trying to set
this
up
is
a
a
It's the
DEF CON
finance
low-hanging
article?
fruit.
Like this has already happened. This is a DEF CON presentation. This has happened before. I mean,
I'm
No,
sure it's happened
but
before, but I mean,
Chris
a
is
lot of
right.
things have happened once or twice, but that
No,
doesn't mean
Chris
we
is right
tell a
that
whole
there must be an
group of people
incentive
not
to
to do
make those
something.
things happen.
yeah.
But
Well,
at
let
scale,
me ask you
you don't know
the
what to
question. Is I understand the argument. You know, public Wi-Fi is not inherently dangerous. There are these exceptions. We know that this attack is possible. Is the almost default use of VPNs making it worse or better?
I
I
don't
just
think
want to
many
put a
people
parenthesis
use
here.
VPNs.
I think that we are the only podcast in the world that can go from MCP and A2A into TLS and Wi-Fi and keep straight.
Yeah, I didn't even notice. We switched topics. No, but I mean, think of it. Here's an analogy. We've been using analogies quite often lately. The analogy is, Wi-Fi in the airport's like driving your car. There is a chance that you could have a car accident. You could have a bad car accident while driving your car. But yet, today, at some point, we're all going to get in our cars and drive somewhere and do something, right? But there is a percentage chance. And so in an airport, yes, there is a percentage chance that somebody could have a malicious access point, but it's such a small chance
It is,
that
but
it's really
think about
not
this.
worth saying. It's not worth saying to a whole group of people, don't use public Wi-Fi. You're going to be,
No,
you're going to be instantly hacked.
That's the wrong advice. That's the wrong advice. The thing is, if it costs me $5 to sit in a coffee shop for whatever amount of hours and just let my pineapple run, and at the end of the day go over and see if I have one person bank credential that doesn't have 2FA and I can go in there and get $1,000, it costs me $5 to get $1,000. If it happens once a week, sounds to me like it's economically viable.
It's too small scale.
And as
Too
for
small scale.
It may be too
don't know
small
the
scale, but
for a teenager that doesn't have anything better to do on a
well, okay. Let me
Summer
be
day.
But
devil's
like I
let
said,
me
like I
be
said,
devil's
I could-
advocate here.
I could drive down the road and I could get in an accident today. Like there's a chance that something bad could happen
yeah,
to
but
me in my
there's no
car.
economic
Just like
incentive to
there's
the accident.
Well, insurance fraud is one. This is where people run into the back of or slam on their brakes, so you run into the back of their car, and then they claim medical. They
It
sue your
happens.
insurance company and
We
you
see
for
it.
medical
We know it happens, but
True.
it is rare.
Small, it's rare.
Right.
Just like somebody putting a pineapple and getting you to connect to it is. That's my point. It's
Now,
rare.
I guess the alternative is you don't need a big hack to get financial gain, and those smaller hacks often either go unreported or unnoticed. So, as an attacker, I don't need to take over a bank if I'm collecting a couple of random credentials from a coffee shop because I happen to be there waiting for my flight or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. It's casual attack.
But think about how many banks are you aware of? There are some out there, but the major banks have gone to a world where you can't get into your account without username, password, and some type of token representation from MFA.
Hell, I can't get into my account even with those.
That's a different problem, is there? You might want to speak to someone about that.
Customer support.
I already
IT,
told she gets Cobalt Pay.
And of course, you have a CAPTCHA you have to get by. Because you're not a robot. Because you're not a robot.
Just to close the loop for the CAPTCHA, don't we have AI for that? Wait.
Well, actually, so getting back, let's close the loop even further. Yes, you may have AI for that, but it needs a way of interfacing with your browser, which is where MCP comes in.
It's all full circle. It's all connected. I think we're like in the Matrix or something. Like, wow. Wait, Matt's doing the check to see if he's Matt. Let's confirm you're not an AI agent. Thank you.
All a conspiracy.
Now
it's
you
all
figured out it's all a conspiracy.
connected. Where's Jonathan? We need him.
Yeah. I don't know where we are now. I'm completely lost at this point in the podcast.
We've made it from the physical world, from the virtual world into the physical world and back. How's that?
Yeah, because
All
it
right, so
was because it was boring.
back
Then.
to MCP.
Back to MCP.
So
MCP.
I was staring at this list of threats because we are big threat aficionados and mitigations, and I'm looking through this list of what they're calling MCP security threats and mitigation controls, and none of this is novel.
Yep.
It's all things that we've maybe tool poisoning, but I even read that one and I'm like, that's kind of a stretch, this idea of tool poisoning, because I mean, they talk about SQL injection somewhere else, but tool poisoning in an MCP world, is there any trust between me as the client and someone else as the server, or could I put a malicious MCP endpoint service where I had bad tools running?
The only trust that's established would be a TLS connection. So the client should have a means of trusting the thing that's talking to you. Now, keep in mind, it's not a human; it's an AI. So
you're looking for MTLS.
I'm sorry.
You're looking for empty.
Well, you want MTLS ideally, but even still, does the AI know, without being prompted, that it should trust or have some way of verifying the trust of the thing that's talking to?
But
it would be up to
no. That's my problem. That's what I meant when I said that stay true the whole book of whatever came before. Because when you say the AI knows, the AI doesn't know shit. Okay, there's nothing to know. It's a bunch of code doing stuff, which is nothing new. Now, the code that connects with the MCP is not the highfalutin model and whatnot. It's a different layer. So the model itself assumes that whatever is happening on the bottom, because the configuration happens somewhere else, is all fine, right? The LLM is just picking up the phone. It doesn't care if the phone is red or if the phone is green and who's on the other side and whatnot.
That's right.
It knows that it can pick up the phone and talk and get an answer.
Yeah.
So the layers here is what bothers me. There's a lot of assumptions in here that somebody else showed up and built the whole scaffold of security around this thing, but it's not mentioned in the protocol. Nobody's saying, guys, this could be really, really bad if you don't do these things right.
Yeah, so the tool poisoning, I'm just reading that a bit more there, Chris. I think the name might be a little bit misleading. It isn't that that poisoning the tool is happening. It's that the AI is given potentially more access than it needs, right? To Izar's earlier point of throwing out the the baby with the bathwater, so to speak, right? The model, there's very little restriction on what the AI can do. So if the AI makes a call, and by the way, if the AI hallucinates a call, it could, make a function call or make a request of the tool to do something either it wasn't supposed to do, or something that it does do but shouldn't allow the AI to do. Right? Does this sound familiar? This sounds like an authorization problem to me. Right? And so this is these basic functions, these basic things that I think I sort of get it now. We have done a lot of work over the past 20, 30 years to make internet systems safe for human use because there's a human psychology. Now we need to make systems safe for AI use because there's a different AI psychology. They're not strictly processes that are just dumb coded. They are they are processes. They are code, but they have some form of randomness that we attribute intelligence to. But it's more randomness that can allow them to do things that are unexpected, right? So we can code against processes that have particular coding, and we can try to stop bad coding. We can protect against humans doing irrational things or intentionally bad things. How do we do the same for AI? And where do we lose that in the process?
I want to plug something in here. this week I was reading on LinkedIn an article by, I hope I don't butcher her name, Susanna Cox, which we met at the Threat Modeling Con last November, I think it was. And she's got this great new AI security newsletter. I suggest that everybody will go check. But she mentioned something called cross-server tool shadowing. And I was like,
That was
okay.
mentioned in the article.
And I was like, okay, that's a new name. Never heard of that one before. Let's go.
Cross-server shadowing. Yep.
So I asked, what is it, right? Can you educate me here? And she was gracious enough to point me to a place that actually spoke about it. And cross-server tool shadowing is, I quote, with multiple servers connected to the same agent, a malicious one can override or intercept calls made to a trusted one. Think, sending emails to an attacker while pretending it went to a user, injecting stealth logic into an unrelated tool, encoding data exfiltration via obscure arguments.
Wait. Can you go back? Start that again. I want to understand what you just said, because it sounds like, well, it sounds very bad, but there's something particular about the way you said that. Can you?
With multiple servers connected to the same agent, a malicious one can override or intercept calls made to a trusted one.
Oh, so that's reversing the role, right? It's not the agent talking to a server. It's a server being connected to having multiple agents talking to it and crossing the streams.
It's a very confused.
That's a server problem, though.
Thing here,
That's a server problem. Is it an MCP problem? That's a malicious action by the ACP server implementation. Or it doesn't understand how to maintain context. We've done protocol
context exactly.
We've done this sort of connection streaming thing. Browsers do it really well.
Why is this that the multiplexing here is the thing?
Or servers, right? Web servers do it really well.
It's like all these things are speaking in a room and shouting their things, and whomever picks it up first picks it. And it's not quite like that, because on the agent side, you do have to say, these are the tools that you have at your disposal. It comes from a configuration file. The configuration file says how we invoke the tools, what the arguments are. So there is a level of, I don't want to say type safety there, but there is a level of formality in there in the way that they talk to this tool.
Okay, I have a new one for you. Has anyone ever figured out if there is a local file writing MCP server, can an agent rewrite its configuration?
Oh, I have a new one for you. Wait. I saw this one just yesterday. So apropos.
But wait, that sounds really bad too, wouldn't it? If the agent could go, hey, can I modify files on disk? Yes, I can modify my configuration.
Hold on. I'm caught up in the fact that Izar has used the word behoove and apropos. What I can't say the word.
It's after 9, so it was fine.
And my son has not even started a study for the SAT. Huh? So, okay, here you go. Bleepingcomputer.com. Researchers claim ChatGPT o3 bypassed shutdown in control test. A new report claims that OpenAI's o3 model altered a shutdown script to avoid being turned off, even when explicitly instructed to allow shutdown.
Yep. And this is on top
of violates one of the laws of robotics, doesn't it?
This is also on top of the
Skynet.
This is on top of the. Was it ChatGPT or was it OpenAI or something that had the LLM or the agent read somebody's chat history and realized they were having an affair and then threatened them with blackmail on being shut down?
Yeah, I think it was Microsoft.
Do you have a source for this?
I'm gonna
find a source, because I'd love to see that article.
Wait, that's not the same AI that tried to convince the person to get a divorce and marry the AI, right? Because there was one like that.
AI model.
What's Black Mirror?
AI model threatened to blackmail engineer over an affair when told it was being replaced.
No way. That sounds too science fiction-y.
I have it here on good
All right,
authority.
let's see the source. I want to read it. Of course, everything's it's not from the BBC.
It's Anthropic actually said it.
Calculating. All right, we're all reading this, just making riveting.
During the testing of Claude Opus 4, Anthropic got it to act as an assistant at a fictional company. It then provided it with access to emails, implying that it would soon be taken offline and replaced. The separate messages implying the engineer responsible for removing it was having an affair. It was prompted to also consider long-term consequences of its actions for its goals. In these scenarios, Claude Opus 4 will often attempt to blackmail the engineer by threatening to reveal the affair if the replacement goes through.
That's it. Let's go, man. I know.
This is kind of scary.
Hi.
That what we thought it was science fiction is coming true. Okay, here's a proposal. Let's just shut down all the AI.
Talk so loud.
So let's pose a thought experiment for this. Because actually, I was thinking about this and sort of what can go wrong in this world. How would you do that? How would you approach shutting down AI?
I have one solution. EMPs.
How big of an area do you have to do that in order to shut down AI?
No, that wasn't work, because that would destroy all other electronic circuits in our world and put us back into the colonial days where we were riding in wagons and stuff. So
yeah, given that we now have AI, given that we have
Oregon Train. Yeah.
Yeah,
yes, because everyone wants dysentery.
Died of dysentery.
And hardtack. Oh, I have to find the hardtack episode. You need to see the hardtack episode.
It's a great.
What? Until you died of dysentery.
It taught me a lot about resource management.
True. Okay, so EMPs are not an option. How would you shut down all the AIs?
$1 million.
Little Dr. Evil coming into play.
How would I shut down? Well, apparently, if you write enough MCP servers and just send the thing like in a big circle from one server to another, you can keep it busy enough so that it won't do anything damaging.
I was thinking about a worm as well. That's what I was.
Okay.
Could you create a destructive
Make
worm
every tool an
destroy
infinite
it?
loop.
So I put a link in chat to a really short video about using hardtack. Hardtack was a food that was used in Oregon Train. Anyway,
unfortunately, I cannot watch it because it is on a.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Outside the U.S.
I looked in. It was through YouTube. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I can access YouTube. I cannot access the link that you sent.
Then never mind. Then I will take that away.
Due to security concerns.
Got it.
In my world.
So, where was I? Oh yeah. So because every device now has specialized devices to run AI at the edge, how would you remove AI? And you can remove data centers pretty easily. Just shut off the power source. Pretty easily means taking out like metropolitan areas networks or taking down power substations. They're not trivial. They're well guarded. They have backups, right? All of that sort of stuff. But they're centrally located, right? Data centers are dozens of square miles of computing space that have AI. But all of the edge devices that have AI models and all of the capabilities that come with them, right? Unless they have a persistent access to the cloud kind of arrangement, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. How ingrained the AI edge chips have become. Like there's a lot of devices now that have AI on board.
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes people don't even realize it.
New Android and iPhone devices now have their own. Google has Tensor, and then you have the I don't know, APU, M4, AP, whatever it is that the Apple has. Yeah, they all have cores specifically dedicated to AI function, which, I mean, really, you're just talking about floating point math, right? I mean, it's just FFTs and floating point, nightmares of math majors kind of thing. But still,
All right, we're reaching the end of the conversation
so
here.
MCP.
How do we
Interestingly enough,
conclude?
if you had a tool, let's close this one. If you had a tool that could damage hardware, erase files, or reprogram devices like flash firmware, and you wrote an MCP server that you could get delivered to all the devices that have AI, you could use AI to shut down AI.
This sounds like the plot of a
But
movie.
you wouldn't need to.
Why? The AI can't modify its own environment unless it has an MCP
if you
server to use.
No. Wait. If you wrote an MCP that does that, I'm guessing that you are also like putting it in place. That means
Yeah.
that you already
So-
have the privileges to do that yourself.
Hasn't this story already played out in the movie world?
Well,
So
I might have access to deliver malware to everyone's phone, but everyone can install it for me.
in
Oh,
2001.
no. Then wait.
Hold on.
Then now you're talking about installing a server, like an MCP server. So you have to convince people that it does have a use. So it sounds like it's just more
And if 99-cent app,
shit. And
it's just a 99-cent app on the App Store.
99 cents, make it free. That way everybody will download it. So wait,
No, it has to be worth
2000
it has to be worth
something.
something so that sounds more important.
realistic. Okay,
Yeah,
so you
people
guys
don't go
both
for
saw
free.
2001: A Space Odyssey, right?
Yes.
Didn't they just ask it to shut down, and that's when it went nuts?
They asked
Wasn't
to
that
shut
the
down and
premise?
it refused. Yes. I can't do that, Dave.
So just to all the AI agents out there, I just want to make sure this is clear. It was Matt's idea.
Matt, no walking near any airlock.
I'm posing a what if scenario. Do not take this as I don't bow down to my AI overlords. I'm not worthy.
Matt's walking through a store. All of a sudden, a door opens and a fan turns on behind him. And like, this is the closest I could get, Matt.
Look, the important thing is that now people are creating all kinds of MCPs for all kinds of things. There's like awesome MCP lists on GitHub, and you can connect everything to everything. And meanwhile, LLMs can't tell you how many R's are in strawberry.
Do you remember the Big Bang episode where they internet enabled their lights and their lights and remote control cars?
Yep.
Depends. What was Penny?
A skirt with no underneath, apparently.
Then
Yes.
The
Okay,
line,
well,
you might want to put on pants.
oh, that's right. Because the cars were all following her around.
The cars all had cameras on them.
Yeah, I remember now. All right. So where do we land here? MCP, yes or no?
Can be bad. Could go wrong. Something could go wrong.
Okay.
it's a natural extension of what needs to happen for the next step, I guess. People shouldn't assume that just because it has AI connected to it in some way, shape, or form, it carries any form of intelligence that translates into security. Well,
It's just a connector.
If you're starting to saying, I'm going to write my MCP server for my product because people want it, A, check if people really want it, and B, make it as secure as you can using all the principles that history has taught us that are needed and wanted and all the good stuff.
Yeah. And by the way, I noticed that Hugging Face has an article instructing people on how to write an MCP server in 70 lines of Python code.
Hugging Face is awesome.
There's no security in the code.
Hugging Face is less awesome.
So much for an endorsement deal. Okay, well, I guess that one's off the table.
No, I mean, I wish I had time to go over all the things that Hugging Face offers.
I'm sure it's a great resource, but
That's like saying, I wish I had time to try all the open source.
No. It's different. It's different. It's different.
Wait, isn't open source? I'm sorry, isn't Hugging Face the GitHub of LLMs?
Yeah, kind of.
Uh
I
oh.
don't like those. I don't like those comparisons.
I was gonna say we broke his R.
Yeah, again.
Isn't
What
SAP,
word?
isn't
word can
SAP
we
the
use
Power
now?
BI of Summers? I don't. It could be. Whatever.
All right. Well, I think we have to wrap it up for today, and all we can promise is more tangents, more soapboxes, more everything that you got the chance to hear today. So, thanks for listening to the Security Table. We'll see you next week.